Hello. In this review, we'll talk about the Italian 76mm naval gun, OTO Melara 7662. It is also known by other names such as OTO Melara 76mm, OTO 7662, Mark 75, and several others. This is one of the most popular and widely used naval guns in the world, installed on corvettes, frigates, and other ships for engaging both surface and aerial targets. A later modernization even enabled it to engage anti-ship missiles. I will tell you about the history of the OTO Melara 7662, the different versions of this gun, and its overall capabilities. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It helps make our content better. Let's burn. The history of the OTO Melara 76mm naval gun began almost immediately after World War II. Like many other European countries, Italy started receiving military equipment from the United States. Several ships that had served in the Italian Navy during World War II and had not been completely destroyed were restored and brought back into service. However, Italy also needed to build new boats and ships to restore its defense capabilities, and let's not forget that Italy is one of the 12 founding members of NATO. In 1949, with the creation of NATO, the country was expected to strengthen both its own military and the alliance as a whole. By the end of World War II, the U.S. Navy had been using 40mm Bofors L-60 guns, which proved to be not very effective against Japanese aircraft. As a result, the U.S. favored the 127mm Mark 12 gun, which was far more effective against Japanese planes and other targets. To further increase firepower, 76mm Mark 22 guns were introduced on aircraft carriers and destroyers during the Pacific Campaign against Japan. In terms of effectiveness, a single Mark 22 gun could replace two Bofors L-60 guns. After the war, the United States decided to transfer Bofors guns to Italy, along with Mark 12 guns and other artillery from the 127mm family. In the early 1950s, Italy restored and upgraded light cruisers of the Capitani Romani class, including Pompeo Magno and Giulio Germanico, which had been sunk or damaged during World War II. The transferred American guns came in handy for this. However, these were already the 1950s, and as I mentioned in previous reviews about anti-aircraft guns, all sides understood that aviation was rapidly evolving. Aircraft were becoming faster and more maneuverable, and new anti-aircraft guns were needed. The 40mm Bofors L-60 guns installed on those cruisers no longer provided the required firepower and capabilities against advanced aircraft. Meanwhile, the 127mm guns were too heavy for patrol boats. Yes, the US had also supplied Italy with destroyers, frigates, and various other vessels, significantly boosting the Italian Navy. Still, there was a need for a new gun that could combine versatility, firepower, and sufficient range to engage both air and surface targets. The Italians turned their attention to the American 76mm guns, which were a middle ground between the 127mm and 40mm guns, but were capable of fulfilling a wide range of tasks. The Italian company OTO Melara received a contract from the Italian Ministry of Defense to develop a new 76mm naval gun. The Italian Navy issued its requirements. The main goal was to create a suitable gun that would serve as the primary armament on corvettes and as a secondary weapon on frigates and destroyers. It needed to be capable of engaging both surface and air targets. As examples, they looked at the American Mark 27, Mark 33, and Mark 34 guns. Even before OTO Melara began work on its own version of a naval gun, a well-known World War II-era enterprise, Stabilimenti Meccanici di Pozzuoli, shortly SMP, from Naples, presented its own version of a 76mm naval gun, known as the SMP-3. The name itself stands for Stabilimenti Meccanici di Pozzuoli 3 Pollici, meaning 3-inch. The gun had a caliber of 76mm and a barrel length of 62 calibers. Its specifications were very similar to what the OTO Melara 76mm gun would later offer. The SMP-3 gun could fire various types of ammunition, each weighing around 6 kg. It could rotate horizontally 360 degrees and elevate up to plus 90 degrees. The muzzle velocity was around 950 meters per second, and the gun could engage targets at a range of up to 16,000 meters and aerial targets flying at altitudes of up to 11,500 meters. It featured a drum-type magazine similar to what would later be used on the OTO Melara 7662, but the ammunition supply was very limited. The loading mechanism of the SMP-3 was bulky and complicated, and reloading was not possible at all angles of elevation. The complete system weighed around 9 tons, which was considered acceptable. However, the gun had significant reliability issues, with incidents of ammunition detonating inside the gun. Only 20 units were produced, but the Italian Navy ultimately rejected the system, as its performance did not meet expectations. By the mid-1950s, OTO Melara, well aware of the limitations of the SMP-3, began working on its own 76mm naval gun. The company took a radical approach to the project, opting for a twin-barrel design. Interestingly, instead of placing the barrels side by side, they were mounted one above the other. The gun was named the OTO Melara 7662 Sovrapposto, with sovrapposto meaning overlapped, a direct reference to the barrel arrangement. The concept was ambitious, with plans to eventually equip the system with up to 4 barrels. This version was intended to be installed on the light cruiser Giuseppe Garibaldi, which was to be converted into an anti-aircraft cruiser, where such a system would be highly suitable. The twin-barrel gun could engage surface targets at a distance of up to 16,000 meters and aerial targets at altitudes of up to 11,500 meters. It fired shells weighing approximately 6 kilograms with a muzzle velocity of 925 meters per second. The entire system weighed around 9 to 10 tons. The gun featured an innovative ammunition feed system developed by OTO Melara. It consisted of paired oscillating levers that lifted the ammunition to the breech, while a special elevator mechanism transported the rounds from a rotating magazine to the levers. This process was very similar to the system used in later versions of the gun. Thanks to this mechanism, the gun could be reloaded at any angle of elevation. The system provided a rate of fire of up to 60 rounds per minute, but keep in mind that this figure applied to a twin-barrel setup, and the mechanism was complex. Additionally, the barrel cooling system was not fully refined, requiring a pause for cooling after every 50 rounds. Fewer than 10 units of this version were produced. The system showed promise but ultimately failed to meet the Navy's full set of requirements. This led OTO Melara, in 1958, to begin work on a single-barrel version based on the experience gained with the twin-barrel gun. This new version was named the OTO Melara 7662 Allargato, also known as the OTO Melara 7662 MMI. This version of the gun was larger and heavier than the previous two. It weighed 11.5 tons without ammunition and slightly over 12 tons with ammunition. The name Allargato means enlarged. The turret became bigger, and this time only a single barrel was installed. The size increase was also due to the addition of a gunner's seat to the left of the gun. This was intended for manual operation in case the automatic systems failed, allowing the gunner to manually aim and fire at targets. The magazine now held 43 rounds. A barrel cooling system using seawater was added, which allowed the gun to maintain a high rate of fire for a longer period. The rate of fire was around 70 to 80 rounds per minute. The loading principle remained similar to the previous Sovrapposto version. The Allargato gun was first installed on the light cruiser Giuseppe Garibaldi in 1961. Over the next 5 years, a total of 87 units of this version were produced. These guns were installed on cruisers, frigates, and destroyers. Some ships carried 2, while others had 4 or even 6 of these guns. Even today, this version is still in service on some Italian patrol boats, although for the most part, later versions became the preferred option. In 1964, OTO Melara began developing a lighter and more compact 76mm gun. This would become the most popular and widely used version of the gun, the OTO Melara 7662 Compatto, also known as the compact or simply the OTO Melara 7662C. 3 main objectives were set for the development of this version. First, it had to be smaller and lighter than the Allargato, so that it could be installed on corvettes and frigates where space was limited and the gun's weight needed to stay below 10 tons. Second, it had to offer an improved rate of fire. And third, it needed to carry more ammunition. The development process took about 4 years. The first prototype was sent for testing in 1968. Weight reduction was achieved through the use of reinforced fiberglass for the turret's protection and special lightweight composite alloys for other components and structural elements. Testing lasted a year, and in 1969, the 76mm OTO Melara 7662C gun was officially adopted for service. It was soon installed on various classes of ships and quickly gained popularity. Today, over 50 countries operate OTO Melara 7662 guns. In some countries, it is produced under license, such as in the United States. In 1978, the US purchased a production license, and a local company began serial production under the designation Mark 75. The American version differs slightly from the Italian original in terms of size and technical features. Initially, the gun was installed on Oliver Hazard Perry-class frigates. Even Iran began producing this gun under its own designation Fajr 27 in the 2000s, and later exported it to North Korea. Two more modifications of the OTO Melara 7662 were created, which I will cover in the corresponding section. This gun continues to be used by many navies around the world and remains highly relevant. As of 2025, over 1,000 units of various OTO Melara 7662 modifications have been produced and installed on different types of ships. And now, from history to what exactly the OTO Melara 7662 Compado represents. The OTO Melara 7662 gun consists of two parts, an above-deck and a below-deck section. The entire structure weighs 7.43 tons without ammunition, while the gun itself weighs 735 kg. Despite its designation as 7662, the actual caliber is 76.2 mm. The barrel length is 62 calibers. The gun is equipped with a muzzle brake. As I mentioned earlier, the turret is made of reinforced fiberglass, which provides protective armor. The height of the turret is 2.19 meters. The barrel is cooled using seawater, while fresh water is used for cleaning. The water consumption for cooling is 70 liters per minute. The gun can rotate 360 degrees horizontally. Elevation ranges from -15 to +85 degrees. The elevation speed is 40 degrees per second, while the horizontal traverse speed is 70 degrees per second. The rate of fire is approximately 80 rounds per minute, but it's important to note that the magazine holds exactly 80 rounds, meaning the entire magazine can be emptied within 1 minute. The magazine uses a drum-type design. Here's how the system works. Loaders place the ammunition vertically into the magazine. During firing, a special mechanism lifts the rounds upward. In the central part of the below-deck structure, the rounds are gathered into 4 round clips using the mechanisms I previously described. The rounds are then delivered to the breech of the gun, loaded, and fired. The gun features an automated ammunition feed system, and only one operator is required to control the gun from a console. The gun can fire high-explosive shells equipped with both contact and proximity fuses. The muzzle velocity for these shells is 925 meters per second. The gun can engage targets at a maximum range of up to 16,000 meters. Against aerial targets, it is capable of engaging them at altitudes of up to 11,800 meters. The effective range when using standard high-explosive shells is around 8,000 meters. Each shell weighs 6.25 kg. Additionally, the gun can fire multi-purpose ammunition and SAPAM shells, semi-armor piercing high-explosive shells. These can also engage targets at ranges of up to 16 kilometers and are primarily intended for engaging surface and ground targets. An extended range version of this shell, known as SAPAM Extended Range, is capable of striking targets at distances of up to 20 kilometers. Another available type of ammunition is PFF, preformed fragmentation, a high-explosive fragmentation shell with tungsten preformed fragments, equipped with a proximity fuse. A variety of other specialized ammunition types can also be used, depending on the mission requirements. While the OTO Melara 7662 Compado was highly popular and widely used in its time, the Italian company recognized its potential for further improvement and development. In the early 1980s, work began on an improved version of the gun, the OTO Melara 7662 Super Rapido. As the name suggests, the primary goal was to increase the rate of fire. In 1984, the first prototype was completed and sent for testing. The system officially entered service in 1988. Lighter alloys were used in the construction, and several other components were improved. The rate of fire was increased to 120 rounds per minute, primarily by reducing the firing cycle time from 0.7 seconds to 0.5 seconds. This was achieved by shortening the movement path of the gun's moving parts, speeding up the return of these parts to their initial position, and using titanium instead of light alloys in certain structural components. These upgrades also reduced the turret's horizontal traverse time and increased the vertical aiming speed. It is important to note that it is not possible to upgrade the standard OTO Melara 7662 Compado to the Super Rapido version. The only available option was an upgrade package for the Compado version, which allowed for a moderate increase in the rate of fire to 90 rounds per minute. But fundamentally, the Super Rapido is a completely different gun, not just a modernized Compado. In the 2000s, yet another modernization of the Super Rapido version was introduced, known as the Strales system. A new radar was developed, and this version can fire guided dart projectiles. DART stands for Driven Ammunition with Reduced Time of Flight. This is a radio command guided projectile designed with a duck aerodynamic configuration. At the rear of the projectile are receiver antennas that receive commands from a radar during flight. This allows real-time correction of the projectile's trajectory. The DART projectile can engage targets at a range of over 5 kilometers. The entire system, including the projectile, was designed specifically to intercept low-flying anti-ship missiles. It is capable of engaging missiles flying just a few meters above the water surface. The DART projectile has a flight speed of 1,200 meters per second and weighs 4 kilograms. All versions of the OTO Melara 7662, including Compado, Super Rapido, and Strales, are also compatible with the 76mm Volcano projectile, which features GPS guidance. Many may recognize the Volcano projectile from its use with 155mm artillery systems. It is available in 3 calibers, 155mm, 127mm, and 76mm, all based on the same working principle. With the Volcano, the gun can engage targets at a maximum range of up to 40 kilometers. The 76mm Volcano projectile weighs 5 kilograms. Today, all matters related to this naval gun system are managed by the Leonardo Company. Well, that was the story of the OTO Melara 7662 naval gun. I'm sure this video was interesting and informative for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. That's all from me, wishing you peaceful skies. Goodbye.